Hey, what's going on, guys? Um, I'm gonna answer some questions. You guys have had great questions in the comments section. I really value that, man. Anytime you guys are um, commenting, that means a lot to me because it shows me that you guys are getting something out of this, and hopefully we all are. I know I am getting a lot out of it because it helps me to process some of this stuff as we talk through it. So yeah, it's really been fun. So I'm just gonna go back. Some of these are from like 5 videos ago in the comment section, but I just figured I would just kind of keep trying to answer these if I can. I've fallen behind a little bit, so apologies for that. Um, but yeah, I just wanted to quickly go through some stuff. Um, so on the last video, I kind of quickly touched on uh, the song "Our God." I quickly just kind of played the riff, and then John wrote in "Our God." I thought I remember you saying you used a reverse delay in that song as well as the analog sounding quarter note from the Echo Park. If so, do you run the reverse delay before or after the Echo Park? Um, yes, I have used both, and I have also since a lot of times I'm just using the single quarter note delay and ditching the reverse thing. Um, which I really like the reverse thing, and I may put that DD5 back on the board for that sound. It's such a good sound. But a lot of times lately I was playing with another guitar player, Jack Parker, who tours with us some. He was playing a lower part and I was playing a higher part, and it just felt cleaner and felt like it might translate better out front if I was just keeping it simple. I think it may have started on like a Christmas tour where we played like a really scaled back version of the song, and I was just trying to keep it more simple. But your question, do you run the reverse delay before or after the Echo Park? So the way I used to run that, the Echo Park would have been after the DD5. So let me think about that. I think that's right. Yeah, I think it was DD5, Echo Park, and then the Boss reverb. If I remember right, that's how I was running it. But you could play with both and see how that works. In theory, there's a couple ways to look at that. You could do like if you're stacking delays. I did an episode on stacking delays, and you can do a quarter note into a dotted eighth or dotted eighth into a quarter, eighth note into a quarter. There's all different ways to play with that. Brian wrote, "Hey Daniel, someday I hope to get a telly. My uncle who passed away a few years ago had number 1295, and I think I maybe correct me if I'm wrong. I think you mean like really, really, really early telly. Wow. First of all, sorry to hear about your uncle. That's crazy. Number 1295. He says it's still in the family, but he doesn't think he'll ever see it. And then he said, I noticed that you're using a pick and you have a very smooth picking sound. And he said, I also was wondering while you're playing, do you ever split your signal and on one side dirt and verb and on the other side clean and delay? In other words, bounces with a growling pad. Just a thought. Keep up the videos. Thank you for what you do. Hey, thanks for watching. You know, I don't ever, I have played around with splitting the signal and getting like a clean thing, delay verb on this side and like dirt on this side. But for live, what I feel for live use, in the studio, anything's fair game. If you have the time. Usually it's just one guitar into one amp, couple pedals, hit record, and you're moving on with your with the other musicians to kind of keep moving. If you're recording on your own at home, then you really got a lot of time to play with some like really creative sounds and stuff, which I like doing it that way too. But yeah, for live, I just it's always about keeping it simple for me, and I think for other people might really find some effective ways to get a lot of mileage out of like a really split stereo rig with lots of moving pieces. But man, for me, it's like, give me an overdrive pedal, couple delays, a reverb. I'm gonna hit 2 amps with it and make sure they're not out of phase, and that's pretty much home base for me. I love that sound, and that's kind of enough for me. And anytime I get trickier than that, once we get playing, I might think it sounds cool at home in my bedroom, and then get out on the road and realize I wish I had kept this simpler. So yeah, this next person wrote, man, I wish I had a Relic to Nash Telly just chilling in the corner that I hadn't played in a while that I could pick up and strum. Killer tones as always, man. Thanks for the kind words. About the Nash, I didn't mean to make that sound like it was just sitting over in the corner. It's a great guitar. It's a valuable piece of gear, and we've toured with it for many years. It's been on lots of tours with us and a few albums. And look, I still use it. It's not, I have my kind of number one blonde Telly that I've played for forever. So when I need the single coil original Telly tone, I grab that one first. But I thought that was a funny comment. Darren writes, hello, Daniel. Thanks for doing these videos. You're welcome. I love it. It's fun. At a church I used to play at, we would play Let God Arise and Our God. Both were really fun to play. Have you ever experimented with NOS tubes? No. I've had friends who have done that. I have not done that. I always just take it to an amp guy that I trust. I've lived in Austin for many years, Atlanta for many years, and now Nashville for about 6 years. And so when I moved to town, I asked my buddy Mike Payne, who's an amazing guitar player, session guy in town. I said, "Hey Mike, where do I go? Where do I take my amps?" So so I've gone to a couple places in town. Most of the time, it's this place, Nashville Amplifier Service, and I just ask them to do. They're the experts, so I just tell them to put in the tubes that they do tons of great work for all the people in town. So I just let them put in there what they select, and it doesn't really, it matters to me, but I want the amp to do what the amp's supposed to do, and I don't really get involved with swapping out the tubes and stuff. But I'm sure there's something to it because people that I really trust have done it. I just haven't. I think I've got JJ tubes in mine, maybe. Scott wrote, big Morning Glory fan here as well. I love mine. What power supply are you using? Your rig is dead quiet. Thanks for doing these, Daniel. I love the videos. Again, thanks for the kind words. About the rig being quiet, man, that is such a huge win for me in touring, and even definitely in the studio, is if you can keep your stuff quiet. I mean, that is such a huge piece of the puzzle. Because if you think about it, like, you could have 5 different overdrives and gain stages and 5 different delays and verbs and a big thing and a MIDI programmer and all, you could have all the great gear at your feet. But if you can't keep the guitar in tune and you can't keep the signal clean, it's going to be hard to use in a track. And live, you can hide that stuff better. Sometimes you play in an old theater and you get weird power, or you play at a venue or something and it just sounds weird that day. But I will say about the rig. Sorry, you were asking about what power supply. I use the One Spot CS12 by True Tone, and it is amazing. It is the best one I've ever had, and it's super clean. I have not had any issues. It's just great. It's wonderful. They also make smaller ones if you don't need the big one. The 12 is really big. You may not need all that. But man, it is. When I had Exact Tone Solutions XTS here in Nashville wire up my pedal board, I bought that power supply when they built the pedal board. He was like, "Hey, if you really want this to be great, you should have us put one of these on there." So I bought it and he put it on, and I've gotten to know a few of the guys at True Tone since then. Zach Childs, what's up, Zach? Not that he's watching, but he has his own channel called Ask Zach, Z-A-C, Ask Zach. It's a really great YouTube channel. Go check it out. He's doing some really cool stuff. He's telling amazing stories about gear, and he goes really into depth about some great players, and he himself is a great player. He goes through some really cool gear, talking about some of those Nashville session staple pedals and stuff, like the Nobles and the Mostortion and stuff. So go check Ask Zach out. He's a really cool channel, and he's a good guy. Let's see, where do we go? The rig was dead quiet. Yes, the True Tone One Spot CS12. Go check it out. Zach wrote, awesome stuff. Different Zach. Awesome stuff as always, man. Off topic, but I'm curious how you set your AC30s. I used a hand-wired AC15 currently for worship. and wondering how you use it and how it is set. For AC-15s, AC-30s, it's those are different, right? They I would set them differently because they're different amps. I don't like it too dirty. One great thing about the AC-30 for me is I actually like the way that it responds to pedals and delays and reverbs and stuff. It just works for me. Some guys might prefer, a Fender thing live or whatever, but I've just gotten really used to that British Vox thing, and the Matchless is a similar voice. So as far as how I would run that, all right, I use this amp forever called the TB6. It's the top boost, and the thing is wired upside the when you're standing at the amp, the controls are kind of like backwards, right? So if I were to say like, oh, I run it at noon, that might not make sense. Let me see if I got a chart here. Let me see if I can show you what I'm talking about. So like, all right, you got your, this is professional stuff here. I'm going to do the top of the amp, right? So I think you've got your 6 inputs, right? And I use the top boost most of the time. The louder one, there's 2 of them. And then the controls, you've got cut and treble and bass, and then the volume of the thing. So I'll just show you those, and you can forget the rest. I would run the volume, and then let's see, treble, bass, tone. We're just gonna roll with this. All right, let's see if this works. All right, now I plug into the highest. I can't remember which one it is. I think it's this one. So we'll pretend it's this one. I plug in there, and then I'm running my volume about like that, and then the treble. If you turn the treble up on these amps, if you start turning that all the way up, the low end disappears. So I don't do that. I make sure it's low. Sometimes it's all the way off. Literally, sometimes that treble's all the way off. Bass and cut, it's kind of this weird thing where I'll start with them all the way low, so there's no top end coming through, or at least it kind of tapers it off. It's the weirdest thing with these Vox amps, especially with these top boost reissues, the TB6 one. If you've got it turned like this, the bass and the cut, I'll turn them like that all the way, to where they're all the way down. And then I'll start, or all the way up, I should say, which means no treble. And I'll start backing them up. And when I hear the amp kind of like get brighter all of a sudden, if I need more bass, if I need that much bass, I'll leave it there. If not, I'll back it off and it'll like open up the amp a little bit. Same with the cut. So as far as the volume goes, man, I have run it. If you're looking at it like this, I have run it at 9 o'clock. I've run it at even lower than that if I had to. Like if it was a church or a small theater and I just had to keep my volume down and use the overdrive pedals and stuff to try to get the amp to sound the right way. But in a studio, that thing will be cranked up pretty good. Like a lot of records we've made, I've used that Vox amp, and that thing might be up more like 10, 11 o'clock, almost never higher than that. So it's always living somewhere between 9 and 10, I would say. Maybe if it gets too gainy, I don't like that live, so I'll back it down. But in a studio, yeah, it's cranked up pretty good. Didn't know I was gonna be making a drawing. Hopefully that'll work. I don't know. You can tell me if that makes sense. And then I took a picture actually of an AC-15. We did an event a few years back at Sweetwater. It was like a it was like a worship kind of seminar conference kind of thing, and we did like a sound check where we showed everyone, it was our band, and we just kind of showed everyone how we do sound check and how we work with the engineers and how we get our sounds and how we communicate with each other. And at that event, they had a AC-15 for one of the worship nights, and that was the only thing I played through, and it sounded great. It was awesome. It was like a little hand-wired, the beige one, the kind of newer ones. I think it was the British-made one. And I took a picture of my settings, so I actually have that. Who wrote this question? Zach. So Zach Foster, if you want, maybe I'll include a picture of those settings if I can figure out how to tag that onto the end of this video. So yeah, cool. Robert wrote, "Hey Daniel, still loving the videos. Will be pumped to see how you use the hot cake. I have had one for years and loved it with a Jazzmaster and a Vox style amp." Yeah, I've heard that they're developed with a Vox. I think I heard that on the That Pedal Show guys. I think they mentioned that one time, and I was like, oh, that's cool. That makes sense why I love that pedal so much. Yeah, and he said, do you still have your Jazzmaster? If so, can you do a video with it? I can show you how I use the hotcake. The Jazzmaster, I had it for a couple years. It's a great guitar, and I sold it to my buddy Matt Podesla. Matt's an awesome guitar player, and we need to encourage him to start his own channel because he's got a lot to say and he's a great player. I always tease Matt that he knows more songs than like any living guitar player, especially in the worship world that we live in. He's played for everybody, and he's an awesome guitar player, great friend of mine. And last summer, I sold him that Jazzmaster. And he's been playing it out with Matt Maher on tour, as well as a bunch of other artists. But he's a great friend, and that's where that one went. The hot cake, though, I actually have on my board. Let's see if I can make some noise here. See if we can make some noise in the studio. So that's the hot cake. I'll show you the amp is this, and then the hot cake. It's got a great if you needed it to get a little gainy, but you don't I don't like really gainy pedals, but this is great for. If you want the amp to still kind of have some clarity, especially with like a single coil like Telly, I love the way this thing tracks. It's let's see, let me see my guitar a little better. It really tracks well. See, I can get a little gainier than that even. Sometimes I would stack it, so I would use it I would stack it with another pedal to really get the lead tone to kind of stick out. But it's great for that single, if you need a single note, let's see here. Yeah, the hot cake. It's great for especially this kind of stuff that lives down in these lower chords. It's good up top too. It's really I think I've knocked myself out of tune. Yeah, it's a cool pedal. You asked about it, so I figured I'd show it to you. And yeah, maybe we can get to some more questions another time. I don't know how long I can make a video on here without it shutting me down. Last time it told me that I couldn't make a video longer than a certain amount of minutes, so I don't know. We'll see if this works. But man, thanks for the comments and the questions. I'm going to keep trying to answer those. I got a bunch more here that I'd like to get to, but thanks for watching for today. And let me know if you'd be interested in more of these like question answer kind of things. What would be awesome is if I could do like one, we did a couple of these live things where I answer your questions in real time. So let me know if you'd like to do more of those, or if you like it like this, where I just kind of sit down and take the time to go through and you can actually hear me a little better. But yeah, this is a fun way to do it, and I hope you guys are enjoying it, having a good day. Man, just thanks again for watching, and for those of you that have subscribed and liked the videos, man, it's very nice of you. Thank you. I just hope that you guys are getting something out of this. I'm enjoying it, and we're going to keep going. Lots to get to. So many more things up here that I want to translate and get out there. There's a lot to get to. So I hope you guys are doing well, man. Keep hitting me up with questions below, and I'll keep answering them. Yeah, we'll see you soon. Thanks, guys.